Recently, Saudi Arabia, which you might know for this and this, has been making a massive push into YouTube and entertainment in general, trying to promote itself as a modern innovator in the digital world. The push comes from its General Entertainment Authority, a new government agency created by Prince Mohammed bin Salman to make Saudi Arabia a hub for all things fun. And despite what you might have heard a lot, the new foray into YouTube isn't just about oil, but a recognition of where real power is growing and cementing the royal family's authority into that power. First, just a quick recap. Saudi Arabia is absolutely dependent on oil. It's home to the world's largest oil field, as well as being the world's largest oil exporter. Since it started producing in the 1930s, Saudi Arabia has become an increasingly strategic country to court, signing many arms and economic deals with the United States primarily. Its state-owned oil company, Saudi Aramco, is one of the 10 most valuable companies on Earth. They're responsible for financing roughly 60% of government revenue, as well as keeping the entire economy propped up through secondary sectors. Saudi Arabia is also famously an absolute monarchy, where power and resources are delegated out by the royal family. They're, of course, scared of the huge risk involved if oil ever runs out or its price crashes, as state collapse means in practice, this family is yoinked out of power. Concerns have never been higher recently as the world tries desperately to deploy new sources of energy, and the cartel meant to protect its profits can't seem to work together anymore. The kingdom had a front row seat to the waves of democratic movements which spread across the Arab world in 2011 and has come to one major conclusion. Keeping power means getting off of oil ASAP. Their major tool to do this has been with the Public Investment Fund, a nearly $1 trillion account kickstarted with the state's oil money, but now holding a wide range of assets. The PIF is now where Saudi Arabia goes if it needs any financing behind its projects. Need a new city? Boom, PIF money. Need to buy a couple of sports leagues? PIF money. And recently, that very PIF money has been flowing into our lovely platform. Now, before we get into the YouTube part, I just want to do a quick disclaimer so nobody gets the wrong idea. If anybody at the Public Investment Fund wants to sponsor me, please hit me up. Please. I'll fly to Saudi Arabia, I'll do the propaganda piece, I'll even play Beast games. Please. Beneath the PIF is the General Entertainment Authority, headed by a man named Turki Al-Sheikh. He's one of the key architects of this new fun vision of the kingdom. His main task is to build up Riyadh season, a yearly 6-month event fitted with theme parks and city-style attractions, and I'll be honest, sports. It's mostly sports, to try to create a tourist sector in the city. And Turki himself is a pretty big YouTube fan. He regularly posts pictures of his meetings with MrBeast, KSI, IShowSpeed. When a fight between Jake Paul and Canelo Alvarez fell through, he suggested they go at it in a MrBeast sanctioned fight for the belt of YouTube.
Bring MrBeast and we can sanction it with Disney and everyone will subscribe and see it.
Jake Paul versus MrBeast.
And his connections and fangirling do translate into real deals. KSI and Speed have together promoted a Saudi-owned game, and the Riyadh season 2025-2026 announcement was presented by Turki with this video where KSI and Speed play different games throughout the city. A big part of that year's Riyadh season was Beastland, an entire MrBeast-centered theme park that popped up for 44 days in late 2025. Choosing Riyadh as its location turned out to be an unsurprisingly controversial decision. MrBeast's official explanation was that it was to cater to his global audience, and Saudi Arabia acted as a nice central point for his fan base. However, A LinkedIn post shows him at least 5 months prior signing some sort of documents alongside Turki Al-Sheikh, who is of course the weight behind that glorious public investment fund cash. Also during Riyadh season, MrBeast uploaded a video where contestants played the old last to take their hands off of a plane wins it while driving through an empty Riyadh highway. And look, I'm no expert on Riyadh's governance structure, but I'm 99% sure you can't shut down a major street without explicit government approval. After its release, Turkey took to Twitter and Instagram to promote the video, saying the challenges have officially landed in Riyadh. Fire. So I would just assume that there's some sort of PIF to GEA to MrBeast connection there. They got the crown jewel of YouTube to promote Riyadh in Riyadh, of course spawning a ring of videos and short videos around Beastland for the clout chaser cast to cash in on the hype.
With thousands of people filming us generating millions of views on TikTok, we have fiercely took over the city of Riyadh.
So even though the LinkedIn tier comments below this post are kind of cringy, they're right. Riyadh and Saudi Arabia absolutely benefit from welcoming this innovation and advertising. Speaking of Riyadh, you have to at least mention these guys paid up to $1.5 million to perform at the Riyadh Comedy Festival, many of whom run their own quite successful podcasts on YouTube. What they had to say about the festival and Saudi Arabia in general afterwards was mostly positive.
I like that Turkey guy. I like Turkey. He puts his mind to something, it's happening. He's like, I'm gonna get WWE, it's happening. I'm gonna get UFC, it's happening. I'm gonna get boxing, it's...
That's marketing and state power at work right there. Actually, on the topic of podcasts, the most watched podcast on YouTube is not one from America, but one produced by Saudi outlet Thamania featuring self-help guru Yasser Al-Hazimi. This Arabic language podcast has, as of today, reached over 150 million views. For context, Donald Trump on the Joe Rogan Experience, the podcast many pundits claim won his support with young men, and the election only has 60 million views. So maybe the real question is, with this much power on YouTube, why aren't more governments getting involved with the platform? Why does it seem like only the Saudi government understands where the world is heading? The real chess move is not just using YouTube to diversify its economy away from oil, but gaining the first mover advantage by really institutionalizing content creators as promoters of the kingdom. Oftentimes, industries just pop up wherever the first place to build them up is. You know, the car industry originally centered around Michigan, Silicon Valley where the integrated circuit was invented, and I don't know, bringing YouTubers into the physical world in Riyadh, Saudi Arabia. This whole saga actually reminds me of two things. One is a video my oldest friend Ryan Getty made called Why Do Liberals Suck at YouTube, talking about how the Democratic Party just does not understand the platform. But instead, I would extend it to pretty much every established government. They all suck at YouTube. And two was an attempt by my old Prime Minister Justin Trudeau where he tried to start communicating through YouTube, got one viral video where his team seemed to really understand what makes a video big about changing the Canadian immigration system, which garnered 2 million views across its 2 languages, and then immediately went back to bricking. They just can't do YouTube. Good publicity on the platform comes through the grapevine, from people which viewers trust, not directly from the government. Saudi Arabia at least seems to understand this, using its endless cash pool to promote its products, events, and country, almost never doing this directly coming out of Prince MBS's mouth. Another way Saudi Arabia is buying its way into entertainment is through the video game industry. not just through gaming creators, directly financing esports groups like 100 Thieves and FaZe, or hosting the Esports World Cup with a prize pool 3 times bigger than the PGA Championships in the same year, but also trying to make the games that will be shown on the platform, which gaming has grown quite symbiotically with. On September 29th, 2025, one of the craziest developments in video gaming and honestly media in general happened when EA, America's third largest gaming company, was acquired by a group led by the PIF for $55 billion, making this history's largest leveraged buyout. Saudi Arabia is now the majority shareholder of the game developer. Forget private equity, this is some step beyond. Anything now developed by EA, FIFA, The Sims, Madden, will now directly profit the Saudi kingdom. This buyout will have massive ramifications on not just video games, but how Hollywood and the entertainment business at large works. Mostly through the mechanism of, begging for oil money. The PIF has also bought Savvy Games, the creator of Monopoly Go, Niantic's games arm, the creator of Pokemon Go, as well as holding significant stakes in Nintendo, Capcom, Nexon, and Take-Two, the developer of 2K, Civilization, and the world's largest game franchise, Grand Theft Auto. Put another way, of the 5 best-selling video games of all time, if released today, 4 of them would at least be partly financed by Saudi Arabia. A simple explanation to this might just be that there's enough of a local market for video games. A government report says that 70% of Saudi citizens play or watch games at least twice a week. A stat that Prince MBS himself is a part of. And region-wide, over 330 million Arabic speakers are part of the video game market. That's more gamers than the Anglosphere. And yet, not many developers come out of the Arab world. So it's part of Saudi's industrial policy to fix that error in their eyes. As part of their national gaming and esports strategy, they explicitly are trying to foster production of games promoting Saudi and Arabic culture, with the goal of producing 30 major games by 2030. The first might already be here. In 2025, free DLC for Assassin's Creed Mirage was announced. Ubisoft doing free DLC? That can't be right. The catch? It was financed and developed through the PIF's freshly acquired Savvy Games, announced right after Ubisoft's CEO went to Saudi Arabia on a state trip. Conveniently, the DLC takes place in the ancient Arab city of Al Ula, which just so happens to be a city that modern-day Saudi Arabia is trying to turn into a tourist hub. This expansion was met with quite positive reviews, not least of all where most people nowadays get their reviews, on YouTube. It's more important than ever to understand YouTube if you want to keep authority, and yet, the vast majority of governments, and until recently news outlets, just don't get it. Over the last few decades, the global trend has been one of the merging of governments and business. In fact, I'd say now more than ever in my life, they're linked like this. It becomes important in this new world for a state to understand where business is moving to, and attention undoubtedly is shifting to YouTube. So while a major part of the reason Saudi Arabia is buying its way onto the platform is to diversify itself away from oil, it's also probably one of the smartest moves a national government has made in digital policy. Unfortunately, autocracies might just be better suited for massive YouTubers than democracies. Could you imagine the backlash if an American city closed down a major highway to film a MrBeast video? Worth it. At least, it might be worth it if you stay in good grace with the people in charge. I think most people are right to be worried about an autocratic kingdom gaining this much of a cultural cachet on a platform everyone around the world uses. especially a country that has been known to chop up dissidents. So get ready for that PIF cash to come flood into YouTube. The Saudi coding trend that has been happening to entertainment is finally coming here. If you subscribe right now, I will personally go to Saudi Arabia to secure my own PIF-led hoser venture, but they'll only let me do it if I hit 1 million subscribers. I'm thinking I could honestly give them a majority share in this channel for like $10 million in return, maybe 20. They have a lot of money. Also, since you're still here, go watch this video about Southeast Asia's little lawless crime empire, all run by one man. Thanks.